The 2025 Seahawks beat the living daylights out of New England. The defense delivered 6 sacks and 11 quarterback hits. Kenneth Walker had 135 yards by himself, and Sam Darnold spread the ball out, 5 receivers getting at least 20 yards. And at some point you have to ask, was this the best the AFC had to offer? It's getting a little bit embarrassing for all of the other teams. Like, I don't blame the Chiefs for being not that good. I don't blame the Patriots. All they can do is their best. But really, no one else in the crowded AFC quarterback class, none of them could get it done. I know, quarterbacks aren't a winning stat. No, what is it? Something like that. To be honest, Drake May looked terrible, right?
We knew it was gonna be 60 minutes, bro.
And as much as I want to give Drake May credit for that, because it would soothe my ego a little bit after seeing how my quarterback didn't do great in the playoffs either, at some point you have to give the Seahawks credit. So let's take a look at how the Seahawks had such a dominant postseason run. Blink, say hi. The first lesson is their defensive line is, on average, one of the best. Not they have the #1 defensive lineman, but on average, their defensive line is one of the best. It is better to have an overall good unit than one dominant player. In 2025, they didn't have anyone with double-digit sacks, but they did have 3 different players with 7 and 1 with 6, and some non-defensive linemen who can, on a rotational basis, rush the passer and contribute in that way. That makes their defense better at simulated pressures because you don't know who's going to rush the passer. Any of them could be effective. And when your entire defensive line is good, stepping up in the pocket isn't good enough. A quarterback has to make the right choice on how to escape, and Drake May rarely did. He's a young player, he's inexperienced, and when the pocket collapses around you rather than just being chased down by one guy, being a really mobile quarterback isn't necessarily enough. You have to make the right decisions, and so often he stepped up in the pocket when he should have tried to escape in another manner or just thrown the ball away early. It also means if an offensive line has any weakness on it at all, this defensive line is going to find it. You can't just say, well, we have a great left guard and a great left tackle, so we'll just put those on the best guy and we'll eliminate them and that's good enough. Obviously, that's not how it works. You have to have 3 great linemen, and really you have to have 2 good linemen, because if you have a weak link, a great defensive line is going to find it and is going to exploit it. The Chargers' defensive line is great, but they depend on Tuli and Odafe Oweh too much. They need interior pass rush. Justin Eboigbe has improved. He's improved a lot, but unless he takes a big step forward, I think they would benefit tremendously from adding a 3rd down pass rusher in the interior. Lesson number 2 is along similar lines. Sometimes you have to get rid of great players to have a better overall situation as a team. The Seahawks are on average 25.7 years old, the 6th youngest team in the league. They traded DK Metcalf, who ended up getting 4 years, $132 million on his 3rd contract. Metcalf was still good. He is still good. But will he be worth what the Steelers are paying him in 2 years? In 3 years? As opposed to what can be done with that cap space and some draft picks instead, especially for a player who seemingly had strong opinions on how the team was being run. With Metcalf gone, Smith-Njigba became a focal point of the offense. He got nearly 1,800 yards, almost 3 times what the next receiver got on Seattle, and I think there's a lesson here for the Chargers. I think their own situation with Keenan Allen, arguably Khalil Mack, you shouldn't hold back young players, especially on rookie contracts, for the sake of a veteran player's immediate contributions. You have to think about developing your own stars, not the stars that maybe still are, but mostly have been. And for the Chargers, the development of Ladd McConkey and Odafe Oweh should take priority over what Keenan and Mack can contribute, and the contract that those players get should reflect that. You should be much more willing to pay Odafe Oweh than you are Khalil Mack and Keenan, even combined. Ladd McConkey's 3rd down targets were cut in half from 2024 to 2025. In 2024, obviously Keenan Allen wasn't on the Chargers, he was on the Bears. Secondarily, the lesson here is that a star player in a position isn't enough. You have to have a plan for a future without them, and the Seahawks absolutely did. They have no problem moving on from very good players, and we might be seeing them moving on from the Super Bowl MVP. I don't know. The lesson number 3 is that the main job of an offensive coordinator in the passing game is finding matchup advantages. Look at this JSN route tree from this year. Look at this. You simply can't You can't just put your best corner on him and expect him to be covered. He reached nearly every blade of grass, even running routes through like the B gap in the backfield. Clint Kubiak forced opposing coaches to have a real plan against JSN rather than just saying, we'll put our best corner on him and that'll eliminate him. It wasn't even enough to bracket him. This got JSN exactly where he wanted, which was in man coverage, absorbing resources, opening things up for Cooper Kupp. The Chargers have the simplest and most predictable route combinations in the league, or they did under Greg Roman, and opposing defenses know this, right? Receivers looked worse against inferior corners and safeties. They knew every route that Keenan and Ladd were going to run, especially on third downs, which we saw them get worse at as they progressed throughout the season. One of Justin Herbert's most egregious interceptions came on a third down pass to Keenan. And don't even get me started on the misuse of Quentin Johnson. Mike McDaniel is obviously a massive upgrade over Greg Roman, but it is a big upgrade in this regard in particular, and I expect Ladd McConkey to have a massive resurgence in this system. Lesson number 4. I feel like this is an unpopular opinion among NFL fans in general, just because of how the kind of media hype machine works and how fantasy football influences people's perceptions of quarterbacks, but quarterbacks do not need to be elite to win a Super Bowl. A team needs to be elite. A quarterback needs to protect the football and execute the offense. They need to avoid negative plays. Drake May did not. Sam Darnold did it beautifully, and then he made a few great plays on top of it to give them more when it was needed. But he didn't have to scratch and claw for every point because he had an elite team around him. That meant he did not have to be elite on a down-to-down basis. He could just have a few great plays per game that elevated his team without the pressure on his back to do it every single time they need a first down. Great plays are easier to make when you aren't seeing ghosts, and Drake May was seeing ghosts. You can't convince me that he was not. The team around him was playing poorly, especially the offensive line, but also the entire game plan was inferior. If he plays to his regular season standard, the Patriots probably still lose because the Seahawks are better in aggregate, but that's the thing. Most people would probably still take Drake May over Sam Darnold, and the Seahawks would still win that, even if Drake May was at his best. Winning is not a quarterback stat, and you don't need an elite quarterback to win the Super Bowl. You just need a better game plan and a better team. The way I like to think of it is you need Brock Purdy or better. If your quarterback is reasonably accurate downfield, smart enough to make adjustments at the line, you can build a good enough team around him to win. Justin Herbert is more than good enough. He needs to play better under pressure, but also when Drake May or Stafford or Mahomes were under pressure this year, suddenly they look a lot like Herbert in the playoffs. They are used to a certain standard around them, and Justin Herbert is not. And because of that, like we said with Drake May, he is seeing ghosts. So protect your quarterback. Don't require them to be a hero. They will see the game clearly enough if you do that to protect the football. And with Justin Herbert, he's still going to have some hero ball plays. He is still going to have clutch drives where he throws receivers open and runs for 25 yards. But if there's no game plan outside of that, defenses can start dedicating their resources towards stopping him and only him. And it will be enough, because even if Justin Herbert was the greatest quarterback of all time, 11 football players are better than one guy. I'm sorry, that's just how it is. So you can and should expect Herbert to play better this year. I think his performance against New England was really bad, but the idea that if he alone played really well, it would have been enough ignores so many weaknesses on this team and an absolutely horrible game plan on offense. What are the Seahawks' weaknesses? I don't think they had any. I don't think even if Sam Darnold played poorly that they would have lost. Maybe their only weakness is Matthew Stafford. And finally, lesson number 5. You should already know this. If you can run the ball on your opponent, run the ball until they prove that they can stop it. Just run the ball continuously and force them to adjust their defense off of it, and maybe you get, explosive plays. Maybe you can use the play action, maybe whatever it is. But if they can't stop the run, you make them stop the run. Chargers entirely abandoned the only semblance of offensive identity that they had as a run-first team as soon as they got to the playoffs. The playoff game plan should have included plays and wrinkles not yet seen on tape, but the core identity should have stayed intact. And when you're playing in the playoffs and you deviate from your core identity, players are playing in a more stressful situation and they are not in their comfort zone. They don't feel like they have anything that they can depend on. Why do something unprecedented? A couple individual plays? Sure, that makes a lot of sense. But if your game plan in the playoffs is what you think the best game plan is, then you should have been using it all year. But you weren't using it all year because it wasn't your best game plan. You get where I'm going with this. Run the ball. And apparently the game plan in the playoff loss was a big factor in the locker room's frustration with Greg Roman. And if your game plan doesn't make sense to players, if you can't sell it to players, they're not going to keep buying in if it doesn't work. Mike McDaniel won't make the same mistake. He has talked extensively about how important it is to him that players are on board with the game plan, that they know why they're doing what they're doing. It'll help them make adjustments. It will help them have faith in the plan and faith in each other to execute it. So I expect a big step up in that regard. Oh yeah, and the last lesson is coaches should not see their kids ever. Coaches shouldn't see their kids. Honestly, I mean, seeing your kid 30 minutes a week, that's too much. Seriously, if you're not good enough at coaching, it's not your scheme, it's not your game plan, it's not your quarterback, it's your stupid son. Stop talking to him. This has been the Chargers Check-In. Please like and subscribe. Shout out to all my members, and I will see you guys next time. What did you guys learn from the Seahawks' success in 2025?